Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today GNT just filed an 8K about offering new shares, and I am seeing a move that could be good for them but might dilute shareholders. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. They are essentially opening the door to sell more stock at current market prices. A common tactic for funds like this. So what is this filing all about? It is a Form 8, which is like a special announcement for public companies. They use it to tell everyone about big stuff that has happened. Stuff that investors really need to know about right away. Think of it as the company yelling, "Hey, listen up." Whenever something important goes down. The main event here happened on the 22nd of April 2026. This is the date the company says the important thing actually started or was agreed upon. It is like the official record of when the clock started ticking for this particular announcement. The company we are looking at today is called GAMCO Natural Resources, Gold and Income Trust. It is a mouthful, but their stock ticker is GNT. This trust focuses on natural resources and gold, which naturally means its performance can be tied to commodity prices. Now, let us get to what they are doing. They have decided they want to offer and sell some of their common shares of beneficial interest. In simpler terms, they are planning to sell more of their ownership pieces, which are called common shares. Think of it like a pizza. They are planning to make more slices to sell. These specific shares are the regular kind, the ones most people think of when they hear stock. They are listed with the ticker symbol GNT on the New York Stock Exchange. This is the same kind of share that helps us track how the fund is doing in the market. They also have another type of share called Series Accumulative Preferred Shares, which trades under the ticker GNT-PA. This is a different kind of ownership that usually pays a fixed dividend, and it is also listed on the New York Stock Exchange. It is important to know there are different kinds of shares as they behave differently. Throughout this filing, you will see references to amounts in US dollars or USD. This just tells us the currency being used for all the financial figures mentioned, which in this case is pretty standard for a US-based company. When they talk about shares, they are referring to the actual units of ownership in the trust. This is the basic building block of how people invest in and own a piece of the company or fund. So on the 22nd of April, the GAMCO Natural Resources, Gold and Income Trust, which we know as GNT, signed a deal. This deal is called a sales agreement. It is basically a contract that sets the rules for how they can sell something. The other party in this agreement is a company called G Research LLC. They are acting as the sales manager. Their job is to handle the actual selling of these shares. They are the ones who will go out and find buyers. Here is the key part. The trust can sell up to 1 million of its common shares. They will do this from time to time, meaning not all at once, but whenever they see a good opportunity. This is called an at-the-market offering. What that means is they are planning to sell these shares based on the current price they are trading at on the stock market. They are not setting a fixed price beforehand. This is allowed under a specific rule. Rule 415, which governs how companies can offer securities over time. It is essentially a plan to sell shares directly into the open market. There is a flaw on the price though. They cannot sell the shares for less than their net asset value. Per share plus a small commission for the sales manager. Net asset value, or NAV, is basically the total value of all the assets the trust holds, divided by the number of shares outstanding. So, they are aiming to sell close to what the shares are actually worth intrinsically, plus a bit extra for the effort of selling. This structure helps ensure they are not selling their own stock for cheap. This whole selling operation is happening because of a shelf registration statement. Think of a shelf registration like getting pre-approval to sell a certain amount of stock over a period of time. They filed this with the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, way back in February 2024. Now, on the 24th of April, they are using part of that pre-approval with a prospectus supplement. A prospectus is like a detailed brochure explaining the investment. The supplement adds new details for this specific offering, like how many shares and the terms. This is just a summary of the sales agreement. If you want all the nitty-gritty details, they point you to Exhibit 1.1, which is the full official contract. This is common in filings. They give you the highlights and then give you a way to see the entire document if you want to dig deeper. Moving on to another part of the filing, which is under Other Events. This confirms that on the 24th of April, the fund officially started this offering. So the plan from the sales agreement is now in motion. They are actively selling these shares into the market. They also included a legal opinion from a law firm named Skadden, Arps, Late, Mega, and Flom LLP. This is essentially a professional stamp of approval saying that the common shares they are selling are legally valid. It is standard practice to get such an opinion when you are issuing new securities. Finally, we have the section that lists all the supporting documents called exhibits. This is where they formally attach all the important papers related to the filing. This lists the actual sales agreement we discussed between the GAMCO Trust and G Research LLC. This is the contract that allows the share sales. And here is that legal opinion from the law firm confirming the shares are good to go from a legal standpoint. This is a consent from the law firm basically saying it is okay for them to use their opinion in this filing. It is usually part of the main opinion document. This last exhibit is for the interactive data file, which makes the filing easier for computers to read and analyze. It is used for things like financial data. And at the end, we have the signatures. This shows that the company's authorized representatives have reviewed and approved this report. It is the official sign-off from the management. In this case, John C. Ball, who is the president and treasurer of GAMCO Natural Resources Gold and Income Trust, signed off on this filing on the 27th of April, 2026. This confirms it is all legitimate from their end. So, what does this all mean? GAMCO Natural Resources Gold and Income Trust is planning to sell up to 1 million more shares of its common stock. They are doing this through an at-the-market offering, which means they can sell them gradually, at prices close to what they are trading for right now. The upside for the fund is they can raise capital without a big upfront discount. However, selling new shares, even at market prices, can dilute existing shareholders. Dilution means that each existing share will represent a smaller percentage of ownership in the fund after the new shares are sold. This can potentially lower the earnings or net asset value per share. The fact that they are doing this suggests they might need more capital for investments or to meet operational needs. Given the recent news about GNT considering its strategy and potential institutional selling, this offering could be a way to manage those dynamics or fund new opportunities. It is a standard move, but investors should always be aware of the potential for dilution when a company announces share offerings. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If you found this helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, and join our Discord. Links are in the description.